Okay, so I think I'm going to talk about what you see the name of the video is. Know your place. That's right. Know your place. No crying, no whining, no bitching. Just shut the hell up, right? Excuse my language. You just shut your mouth. You're not to say anything. You're just to know your place. Yep, that's the type of society, that's the type of world we live in. Okay? And why did our world get this way? Yeah, I know I'm talking for anybody come in. That's right. And I don't care if anybody's here or not. I'm going to say what I got to say because that's the name of what I've decided to talk about. And if I go with the name and I think about it in reality, then I have to say this world's filled full of stupid people, filled full of cowards, filled full of gullible, ignorant cowards, okay? And I hate to say that, but that's the real truth. Because man made things, okay? Man created money. What is our society, our world's new god, right? Money? Mm-hmm. Yep, man created that. And then we've allowed a handful of people, a handful, to take complete ownership over it, to take the control of the production of it, to take the ownership of it for themselves. Okay, and so then people struggle and they struggle and they struggle to try to work, become slaves, to earn. And then the very entity that owns it wants to tell you that they allow you to slave labor for them for the privilege of borrowing some of what belongs to them. Therefore, by them allowing you to borrow some of what belongs to them through you slave laboring for them as they look down on you, they get the privilege of telling you how much they're going to borrow you for your labor, who they're going to give more of it to for their labor, so that you can survive on that. But any assets you buy with that technically don't belong to you. It belongs to them because you bought it with their money. Because that money wasn't yours, even though you labored for it. You labored for it for the privilege of borrowing it. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, no, that's nonsense. That's complete hogwash. No, it's not. It's so factually true and in your face. But yet, nobody does anything about it. Ever we just all sit back and we do that. We shut up, don't we? We just shut up and we take it. So, see, since we've got a world where we've created a tool, money, that we use to enslave you with, and because we've allowed a handful of people to claim ownership over the material, the ownership of money, they actually produce and print it themselves because they own it. And then they allow you to work your butt off in return for borrowing you some of what they own. Convincing you that you've earned it through your work and it belongs to you now. And the only part of it they'll allow you to keep for you is when you buy the food and you consume it that they've decided they'll allow you to use it for. That's right, they own it. You worked your butt off 80 hours, 2 weeks, whatever. You worked 100 hours this week, you worked whatever you worked. You were paid this much of that tool for your labor, but you do not own that money. They own it, not you. And because they own it, not you, any assets you buy with it, I'll give you your example. Your house. You bought a house. You say you own that house because you're buying it. No, you don't. You're buying it with borrowed money, money that never belonged to you. So now all they got to do is place a tax on it and tell you got to pay them an interest for staying in that house because you're paying them back. You're paying them with their cash, with their money. That's right. They've allowed you this privilege. That's right. They have allowed you and called this your privilege because you're slave laboring for them. That's right. Now, this goes so much deeper when I said know your place and shut up, okay? This is just the very beginning of the very beginning right here, okay? We have allowed a handful of people, like here in the United States, the Federal Reserve is owned by the Rothschild family. That's over in that country we're not allowed to boycott. The Federal Reserve prints the cash that you're allowed to borrow, but you're not allowed to borrow it unless you're approved to borrow it. And the only way you don't have to have approval to borrow it is if you slave labor for it. And if you slave labor for it, then you're allowed to borrow what they give you per hour or what they give you on salary. That's what you're allowed to borrow. You're allowed to use your money that you borrowed through your slave labor to pay for your rent or your mortgage, if you think you're buying a house, if you think, to buy your car, to buy your trinkets with, all your assets with. Though you will never really totally own your assets because you bought your assets with borrowed money. This is the reason you can never own your property or your house, because you fell for the scam. You fell for the lie. You actually believe when you worked your tail off that what you was paid now is your money, that you own it. And you will never own it. You're not allowed to own it. What you pay was paid is borrowed to you for the privilege of your labor. Anything outside of the food and the roof over the food that you're putting in your stomach that they can't get back, or the drinks you're buying, belongs to them. So you bought yourself a computer, you bought yourself a TV, you bought yourself a couch, you bought yourself a bed, you bought your dishes, pots, and pans. That's right, you bought your automobile. But little do you know that you don't own your automobile. If you've already figured out that you don't own your house, and you never will own it, they own it because they own the tool that they borrowed to you for your labor. Do you see how they pulled the wool over your eyes? Now let's move on with this topic, this name, because this has many places in society. And I'll say hi to my guest in here. Yeah, I see you there. Okay. So anyhow, I just don't want to lose focus. So let's move onward. Now we're going to move on down the chain to know your place. Okay. That's right. To know your place. We've allowed a certain percentage of people underneath, these banksters, these criminals, like the Rothschild. If you go up the pyramid, you'll find out like the Rothschild dynasty sits towards the top of the pyramid. So now let's move down a step in the pyramid. We have all the suckers. That's right, suckers, pawns, that believe they grew up and became a man or a woman, and they signed the ownership of their body over to what you call your military. That's right. That's down a step, see? And these people up a step, like the Rothschild dynasty, for example, they still own the tool that they will pay their patsies below them to follow their orders. Great little order followers, anything. Yep, you believed you're growing up and become a man, become a woman. And you followed your orders and you went into another country, another land, and you attacked a bunch of innocent people because you were following your orders. You were told that you were protecting your freedom. No, you was never protecting your freedom. You're just following your orders. You're stealing resources and stealing land and killing and maiming for these same sick assholes above you. Excuse my language. In the pyramid. Now we got to control the people, so we might move down another step and we'll call that religion. Yeah, we'll call that religion. Now I got nothing against people's faith. Okay? They can have my teeth if they want them, okay? I will gladly take them out of my mouth and send them to them. Okay? But I'll tell you what. So we got religion, which is another entity that's used to control you with. You're going to say, no, our creator wrote the rules and we have the 10 commandments that we have violated over and over and over and over and over and over until I need to keep, I could go all day long with you over and over and over, and I would be accurate. We have killed in the name of our creator when he said, thou shalt not kill. Okay? All a Ponzi scam for control. I got nothing wrong against anybody that has a faith in their creator. Well, you want to call him God or whatever you want to call him. I have nothing against you believing a creator because, yeah, I'm sure we have a creator, right? Okay. But that's not the point. You've been like everything else, you've been lied to, and it's been used to pull the wool over your eyes again. So, Mark Passio explained it really good when he put the blindfold around you and you were walking through life blind. That's right. So we moved down to that step. So now we got the banksters, we got our military, we have our religion. Then we move down a notch. And part of that military would be the industrial complex, military industrial complex Eisenhower warned us about. But there's a branch of the military industrial complex called the military media industrial complex. Media. Globally run by the same entity at the top over there. They're not even all the way at the top, but they're right up there, right? And the media lies to us regularly. They follow their orders, more order followers, okay? Now I'm going to dive through this really quick because I want to get to what the social engineering has done to us with this structure I just talked about. It has all set us up, and it has set us up really bad. They've used the media and the school system, the education system, not only, when Margaret Isby said dumbing down of America, she should have said the dumbing down of planet Earth. Because in reality, that's what it is. Mark Passio told you straight in your face, Occult, you all think Occult is like a code of people, You think a code is a group of people like, who do I want to think of? Charles Manson. Yep, you want to think that's Occult. You want to think Occult is Waco, Texas. That's not it at all. There is two sides of the occult, but that's not it at all. Occult is hidden knowledge. Knowledge you was not allowed to be taught nor learned. Knowledge that was being withheld from you up there at the top of the pyramid. Right back to that same family that owns the Federal Reserve in America. That lives over in that little land that we're not allowed to boycott. The Rothschilds. Yep, that's who owns America's currency. They sure do. And they own Canada's currency. Should I go on? Yeah. This is one of the reasons I'm back in my younger days of doing what I'm doing, I spoke of the Rothschilds a lot because they literally are the crux of a lot of this. But let's look at what it's done to us. Because we have set everything as a competition in society, deliberately done, when they gave you sports. You all thought it was for entertainment. They gave you your television set, you thought that was for entertainment too. And they bamboozled you and gave you movies and comedies for entertainment. And they used the movies and comics that you've watched on TV for to program you, okay? Literal linguistics programming, and this is what they've used it for. It's basically to brainwash you, to change your perceptions on what you believe. Through this, we also changed your behaviors. Now let's jump over, if you understand that, and let's look at what I give the name of this live stream, Know Your Place. Let's think about when we created the feminist movement and we lied to the women and we divided the genders and destroyed the family unit. Because, see, we've done this through years of social engineering that came from what's in the pyramid? Media. What else is in the pyramid? Your education system. Okay? This is where we bamboozled everybody. And we've changed your belief system. We've changed your behaviors. We've changed your attitudes. We over-sexualized our society for pornography. We wrote down and created gender roles, and we told you that that was hardwired into you. We lied to you again. You say, well, no, because my attractions, no, your attractions were shaped. Okay, your attractions was shaped. From the time you came home as a brand new infant from the hospital, everything you've seen in your life when you were growing up till you hit puberty is what shaped your attractions. Okay? Your attractions was not hardwired into you, it was shaped. Okay, programming shaped. But now let's look at why I gave the name of this live stream, Know Your Place. I've given you a little short brief of how we worked on down into this area. We created gender roles. We gave you the fashion industry. We gave you the modeling industry, which we successfully used magazines, and we used your television set programming again. That's right. And Hollywood. That's right. And other countries use their media for the same thing. And then we gave you your gender roles, okay? We gave you everything we did. And then we gave you the tool that's owned by the Rothschilds. The majority of the tool is owned by the Rothschilds. That's why I told you the Federal Reserve in the United States is owned and controlled by the Rothschild dynasty. That's in that little country you're not allowed to boycott. So that you understand who's running and owns and controls your money in America. And I also told you that you don't own your money because you work for it. They gave you the right to borrow some of their money that they own and produce, borrow. The only part of that money they don't want back from you is what you use to buy food to keep you alive, because they understand you must have your drinks and food to live in order to slave labor for them. But this is another reason you will never own your home in America. Of course, unless your name is Rockefeller and you have a special piece of paper that says you're exempt, which the majority of all America don't have, okay? This is why they demand you pay them property taxes on top of your mortgage, because you're slave laboring for them for the privilege of borrowing money that you'll never own. That would be correct. We were all slaves because we all sat back and did nothing about it. We have allowed this to happen to us. And here's what this has done for us. Because of that, they picked out certain trade skills and certain positions in life where they give you more of the tool. And we have turned everything into a competition because that's why they gave us sports. We made everything into a competition, including the dating scene. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. So, the wealthy people look down on the middle class people who look down on us, the average people. Do you follow where I'm going here? So, the wealthiest up there in the pyramid, like the Rothschilds, they look down on the middle class. They look down on you because they're above you, they're better than you, they're smarter than you, they're more intelligent than you. No, they're not. They're none of the above. They're nothing but fucking criminals and parasites. Okay? Then we come down to the Rothschilds, or from the Rothschilds to the middle class, that they're slowly working on demolishing, getting rid of. They don't want a middle class. They want them and us. Them, the gods, and us, the peasants. So now you're going to know what I'm talking about here. So the Rothschilds would look down on the middle class and say, know your place. I'm above you, I'm smarter than you, and you will listen to what I say. And because I own that money you got in your bank account, because you don't own it because I never gave it to you. You had the right to borrow. Now, the middle class looks down on us, the average person. That's right. Know your place. Now, because we swelled the woman's head up through social engineering and placing her above ourselves, that's right, pampering her, spoiling her, placing her above herself. We've pushed pornography in everybody's face. We've taken sex from the back of the relationship to the front of the relationship. We've, through social engineering in Hollywood, we've turned everything into drama. Drama is your new love. You've all married yourselves. How many women have you met that, and I've seen this so many times, that are so obsessed with themselves that they're constantly looking themselves in the mirror? They spend hours trying to put that fake face on. That's right. And then they go out there because they got that fake face and that hole between their legs, and they've been pampered their whole life. They know they're above you if you're a man. That's right. You know, you're trying to date out of your league. Hold on. So this other human being believes they're out of your league. Now, let me give you a comparison. We went from the dating scene to the elite. Bloodline. How many times have you heard of bloodline? Now, do you follow my drift? These parasites at the top believe because of their bloodline, they're superior to you. And you serve them. They're your God. These women down here, because you placed them above yourself and you pampered and spoiled them, they believe they're above you because you have a penis between your legs. And how did that happen? Well, let's go back up the pyramid again. Media, education system, and vaginas. I'm not calling them manginas. I'm just saying it as it is. Weak-minded. I wished I was a man that bends over and pampers the female, turns their head to her thoughts, don't hold her accountable to her thoughts. That's right. Because you're scared you may not get to put your penis in a hole. Now, you tried to date outside your league. You need to know your place. Now let's even go a little deeper into this topic. Looksism. Yeah, looksism. That's another socially engineered thing, thanks to the fashion industry, the modeling industry, thanks to the gene pool. That's right. Thanks to survival of the fittest, and thanks to you got to have the proper genes. You see how we mixed you all up? And how do we get into looks? Well, because that was shaped for you through your fashion industry, modeling industry, your television set. That's right. It was shaped for you. And then we intertwined, eugenics into it by talking about the perfect gene. That's right. We even gave you some phony baloney evolution. That's right. And we gave you survival of the fittest for the strong and the good looking that shaped our minds. And through that shaping has happened over time, decade after decade after decade, we have come to the point where you are an undesirable. You're not allowed to have a date. No woman's going to give you the time of day because they've been social engineered too. And they know that they're looking for the best looking and they're looking for the most riches. Now, see, I'm coming down to our time, but I'm not still quite at our time because it's even gotten a whole lot worse than that. And I haven't moved to that step yet. I'm moving to the step back in the 90s, the 80s, and the 90s. This is what era I'm talking about right now, okay? It was in the 80s and 90s. The women were chasing the bad boys, they were chasing the wealthy. That's right, Gender Rose told them this, And they were chasing what was socially engineered, the looks. And you had Jad and Dan up on Jan and Dan up on YouTube, what you call it, and they were doing their dating scene topics, and they were focusing on the younger people. And they would sit there, him and her both, on a couch, and they would tell young girls that they need to write up their expectations list. Doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 pages long, and turn down any guy that doesn't meet your expectations. Huh. Wonder how many young naive girls that they were focusing on fell for that hogwash and went out and rejected hundreds and hundreds of guys. Ta-da! In your face. It's all been socially engineered. Now, of course, you got to know your place. You're not allowed to date outside your league. And for some men, you don't even fit into any league. You automatically know your place. Shut up and take it. Now, of course, remember, everything I'm saying does not go 100% across the board. You must remember that. Nothing's 100% across the board because you have a percentage of men and a percentage of women that won't fall for the programming and will have the ability to see through it. This is why nothing's 100% across the board. But unfortunately, the numbers who do fall for it are staggering. So the numbers that do fall for it are staggering, and this causes an epidemic of people who can't even get one person in their life. And if we go from the 80s and 90s or even the 70s and the 90s, and we move up to today's time, we have socially engineered through male bashing, male shaming, male bashing, male shaming, and toxic behavior. That's right, toxic behavior. This is why women act the way they act. This is why men act the way they act, or there's our behaviors. Now you have a higher percentage of women who don't even want to date. They don't care about dating. If they want sex, they can get it anytime they want. At this time and age, they're not working on confusing the genders. They're working on pushing gay and transsexual to furtherly confuse the genders. That's right. Then you have asexualism, that asexualism group of people that are promoting a sexless life for everybody. You have one world religion. You have to really pay attention to what's really going on to understand where we're at. And when I say know your place in the dating arena, it falls into what I'm talking about here. You have to be this tall. You have to look like this and that. You have to have at least an equal income or not more of an income than her. And she has to be willing and wanting to still date. Now, remember, it's not across the board, because if you go out in society and you look around you, you will see average guys with average women. No lie. You got to get off the computer and you got to go out to see this. See, a lot of TFLers would not necessarily have to be a TFL if they would take their ass off the computer and go out there and get involved in different groups and open up and be themselves. They probably eventually would meet some girl that would give them the time of day. The problem that I see that you're going to have, if you can get out there and get above or past TFL, good luck keeping that relationship. And I really hate to say that, but it is the truth. Because she does not know how to treat you. And depending on you, you may not know how to treat her. Because we have lost ourselves. We don't understand that you have to like somebody for who they are, not who you want them to be. That it's not about who wears the pants in the house. It's about compromise. It's not about you can't be friends with a woman, because you have to be friends to have a successful relationship. If the relationship is built on quicksand or a side of a 90-degree hill on a mountain or whatever, your relationship's going to collapse. And I'm going to give you examples of ways you build your relationship on a 90-degree hill or quicksand. Because she has to look this and this and this before you'll give her the time of day. He has to look this and this and this before she'll give him the time of the day. He has to have this much income before I'll give him the time of the day. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get it? That is starting a relationship on the side of a 90-degree mountain or hill or on quicksand. It's going to fail. Dating, we have moved sex from the back of the line to the front of the line. And y'all think dating's about getting your dick in a hole. Women think dating's about, are you an ATM machine? The ones that are willing to date. Because we have all the male hating going on because you were born a male. You know, if you were born a man, that you're at fault for everything. Don't you know that? You should know that by now. Okay? So you need to know your place. You need to understand that you can't date outside of your league and say it's all a crock of shit. Because there is no outside of a league. Nobody's superior to you. Nobody is superior to you. The first time she thinks she's superior to you, show her this and hit the road and don't look back and don't ever talk to her again. That also goes for the female. If he thinks he's superior to her, show him this, hit the road, and don't look back. The crux of the whole situation is, thanks to the fashion industry and the modeling industry and the shaping us, we're pretty much all looking for the same thing. And unfortunately, in real life, none of us keep them looks because that's reality. That's not living in a bubble. That's not living in a mirage or a fantasy. That's being real. As you have to become real again if you're ever going to defeat the problems we're having. To know your enemy is to know that this came from the pyramid down. It came from the people you've allowed to rule you. When you think I'm nuts because I tell you that you don't own your money, I'm not nuts. I'm telling you what they believe at the top. I'm telling you the fact that they have allowed you to slave labor for them in return for borrowing, not because you own. You don't get it? I can't help you any. It's in your face. It's been in your face forever. We've all been conned, fooled, manipulated. All of us. When I tell you the female is a victim, she is. When I tell you the male is a victim, he is. If I tell you the male is the primary victim, fact. The female is not the primary victim. Although your media wants you to believe the female is the primary victim and the secondary victim because the male is a monster. Not true at all. Understanding what they've done to us all, understanding the agenda, and understanding who your enemy is and what their agenda is in the long term will dictate what the things they're going to do next and will answer your question to what's really going on if you would look into what I've been telling you. Then you'll be able to see it clear as day in your face. You know, I don't want to say what the likelihood of him becoming the next Elliot is. Okay, I see the psyop, it's in your face. I caught it out. You know I've caught it out. And that's all I could do. Nobody else has called it out. The only thing I can do is this: hope that enough people recognize it, that they see enough people recognize it, that they change their plan. If they don't, there's nothing I can do about it. What's the chances of him doing it? If what's going on that I suspect is going on, and we don't call it out, then I think the chances are pretty good. I think the more people that say they suspect it's a psyop, they suspect what he's up to, could eventually cancel them from doing it. And I would like to see it canceled for this reason. They will use it, and Elliot Rogers and George Sedini and the Run Me Over in Canada to pass a mental health law against TFLers, incel, guys that ain't got a female in their life, and take rights away from you, demonize you, lock you into an institution, tell you you're dangerous to society. That's what they're wanting to do. That is where they're headed with this, just like they did with the guns. Why do you think there's a red flag law going around with the bullshit things that didn't happen being used to pass that law? It's no different here. I said they were moving in on the manosphere, and I wasn't joking you. I see it. And of course they're moving in on the manosphere because the NWO own agenda is closing down. It's getting to the end stages. I would agree with David Icke when he tells you because it's in your face. So we're in the end stages. So yes, they're moving in on the manosphere now. And yes, they're going to demonize TFLers because as hard of a topic as this is, when I look at the manosphere, the TFLers are the most honest. You can't say that about MGTOW. MGTOW's not honest. How many MGTOWers are actually honest? Oh, maybe a handful. But when it comes to TFL, made their reputation off of honesty in a world full of deception and lies, where people don't like honesty. And so, when I said everything's upside down on its head, that's not a lie. And when I said it, even in yesterday's live stream, that's the reason I flashed that in your face, that Mark Passio put in your face in that slide he had. Because it is the truth. It is the absolute truth. Yeah, which they want. See, incels are actually helping them because incels will give them legitimacy to pass a law. TFL cares about truth and cares about relationships, okay? Not sex. The majority of TFLers don't want, it's not about sex. It's about meeting that female that's going to be their best friend, their companion, that they can get together with, they'll love each other for each other, and grow old with. Then they could have children, raise their children, have a family, and have their mate, their partner for life. That's what TFLers care about. Why did they lump TFL with incel? Because they don't want you having that. TFL tells truth. Look around you. Your media lies to you all day long. Look at MGTOW, filled full of liars. Look at our society. Everybody's okay with lying, but nobody wants to be lied to. You know how many times I've heard this? There's nothing wrong with lying. I've heard this out of lots of people's mouth online. Now, when you grew up, how many kids do you know in your classes you go through the years were lying? How many were bullshitters that lied regularly? I'm sure you all know a handful of guys and girls that lied on a regular basis. And I'm sure everybody in this chat knows somebody that's just that way. Well, that has become the norm. And that has to change. Because if that don't change, you're going to get what you got coming to you. And it's sad because BitChute, okay, is no better than YouTube. The owner of BitChute is sold out to the same entity, just like YouTube. People who believe the internet has a good spot on it that you can actually come up and tell lots of truth and blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. Because the powers of be have control over the entire internet. And if they don't like what you do, they will shut you down. You're no safer on BitChute than you are anywhere else. Doesn't matter what platform you're onto. If you want to go to Live Leaks, if you want to go to YouTube, if you want to go to BitChute, if you want to go to Daily Motion, it doesn't matter. If you want to create your own website, That's the best security you'll have, but it still doesn't matter. Because the first time you step too far outside of what they want, you get too popular, they'll take you down. The dark web is the same as the web you're already on. For anybody to believe there's a dark web that really exists and hides everything, you are falling down their psyop. You are falling for a crock of shit that was meant for you to fall for it. Because if we promote a dark web to you and we make you believe it's really safe there, and we give you phony, fictitious things like changing your IP all the time to hide you, it's a complete lie. It really is. Oh, sure, you see the Onion browser and you open it up, changing your IP. What you don't understand is they have the back door because they own it, and they see your real IP. You're the one that's seeing your IP being changed, not the people who count. That's where that comes from. So when people want to jump in and say, well, I'm going to the dark web because I can hide myself, you fell for the psyop. That's all. You fell for the lie. You fooled yourself into believing you're hiding yourself. Congratulations, sucker. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything. I'm telling you the actual truth. There is no dark web. That has been set up just like they set up the left and the right. You know, the Republican, Democrat. Just like they gave you alternative media, mainstream media, alternative media. They gave you the internet and then they gave you the dark web. It's for the suckers. You all get two sides of the same coin. I don't know why people are so gullible and so easily fooled. Maybe that's why I've lost so many channels. And my subs can't grow because they don't like what I have to say because they know I'm not going to come up here and bullshit you. But I didn't mind being called a troll. I've been called everything vile under the sun. The only thing I haven't been called is a troll. Now I've been called a troll. I think that's pretty awesome. That's a great title to give a truth, somebody that really tells the truth. Tell them they're a troll. And anybody that knows me, that knows Steve Hoka, that's been around, knows full well that Steve Hoka and I myself are not trolls. You know? Well, yeah, I'm sure that Blue Skies has brought up TFL. Why would he not? Like always. And if I'm doing a live stream, this is when they call. See, and that was Warren. I mean, you know, if Warren wants to listen, he can come in here and listen. He can't join the live stream because I didn't do it in a fashion where he could call in. Okay, and I ain't going to talk to Warren in the middle of a live stream because I just can't do that. Okay, that breaks my focus on anything I'm doing. So the reality is simple. I cannot get Warren into the stream. I did not fire this stream up under my OBS studio and Zoom. I would have had to fire this stream up through my OBS and Zoom for Warren to come into this stream. So that won't happen. So, you know, and he's not on the phone no more. I can't put him on live, you know. He'll eventually figure out I'm in a live stream and maybe show up here. So you might see him show up in the chat. We'll see. If not, when I'm done with the live stream, I'll call him back. You know, most of the time when I talk to Warren, it's not on a live stream. Most of you people have no idea how often Warren and I actually talk. We talk pretty often, so. And every time we do, it's always at least an hour. That's probably the least. Hour to more. So, you know. But the thing is this. People need to understand when I said know your place. The people who tell you you need to know your place are your enemy. They're parasites. They actually believe they're above another human being. There is no such thing as a human being that's above another human being. I don't give a shit if you fucking what position you're in life. I don't care how much of freaking a man-made tool you have. That does not make you above anybody. I don't even give a shit about your bloodline. You're still not above nobody. But we have a world full of people who all want to be above somebody else, but don't want somebody else to be above them. That's why I gave the name, Know Your Place. So when she says that you're dead, you know, and this is why I'm against you labeling your sexual value on the market. Putting numbers on from 1 to 10. What you're doing is you're creating the division that the powers to be want. You're labeling other human beings based on social engineering. And you don't even know you are. That's what you're doing. You're labeling other human beings based on social engineering, which needs to stop. Yeah, that is correct. Ron just said it. PUA is a branch off the CIA, which is a branch off the government, which is all about mind control, which is brainwashing, which is to change your perception and change your behavior and to get you to act a certain way. It done them a great justice when you fell for it, because when you started using categories from 1 to 10 and started labeling people, you helped to create the division. Because how many of you people who believe this labeling system want to be a 1 or a 0? How many do you want to be a 2? Come on, honestly answer that question. How many people are willing to be labeled as a number 1 or a 2 or even a 3? Because I'll guarantee you across the board, the majority of all of you are going to say, I don't want to be considered that. I got to be better looking than that. Yeah, you see what you've done? But then nobody keeps their looks. That's correct. Not one. Not one person wants to be labeled that. But other people are going to look at you and say, oh, God, you're a number 2. Oh, you're a number 1. Oh, you might be lucky if you're a 3. See, that's another human being. Look at another human being looking down on another human being. Now do you see why I'm so against it? Because the brainwashing has done such a fantastic job, and you're helping them. When you use this labeling system, you're helping the people in the pyramid that have done all this to us. And you're making the problem worse. That's all you're doing. You're escalating the problem, making the problem worse. Living in the real world and understanding that everybody loses their looks, that true beauty comes from your behavior, true beauty comes from the inside. How you treat other people. That's right, no lie. Natural law would be a good one that goes into that. That would be true beauty. Not your phony baloney looks that means nothing. When you talk about the top chads and the top 10 women, the number 10s in society, when you made your labeling system, if you've ever hooked up or met any of these people that are in them so-called categories that we've created, you'll find out the most of them are suffering major brain damage. They're arrogant, they're snotty, they're self-conceited or conceited. They think they're something they're not, and they look down on everybody around them. Sort of like the rich people. Look down on you, don't they? They're arrogant, they're snotty. Let's look at the rich people's children who become narcissist psychopaths like the rich person because they've been pampered and spoiled. Why do you think there's an epidemic of narcissist women all over the place? Because we pampered and spoiled them. We didn't hold them accountable. And we made categories. Thank you, modeling. Thank you, fashion. Thank you, pornography. Thank you to all of the institutions that helped to shape your brain that's done this to us. Understanding the truth is vital. Understanding what we need to do and then working on your own self is vital on an individual basis. You know, and seeing through bullshit when you understand what's really going on in today's society, what the powers to be are really doing. And then when you see somebody come along that's clearly lying to you, deceiving you, okay, when you understand the agenda, then you would understand why I called out who I called out. You know, and I'm not going to make every video about that person because I've already called that person out. That person's already told on themselves. Though I do appreciate the person calling Steve Hoke and myself trolls. I do think that was pretty funny because we're not trolls. No, Warren, you probably missed most of what I said. It's not about explaining the phenomenon. It is about you, by going along with that social engineering, you help to keep the problem, you exploit the problem, you make the problem worse, and you don't even know you are. Yes, that would be Warren. Well, it's like I told you on the phone, Warren. Your attractiveness was shaped for you. It's not biology. It was shaped for you. Your whole life from the time you were brought home. And if you disregard that and call it biology, then you go down the psyop rabbit hole. And until you can get your ladder and climb up back up out of that rabbit hole, you ain't going to understand what's really taking place and why we have to lose these so-called systems of 1 to 10. Because you are helping them with the problem. you're actually helping to make the problem stay alive and healthy. Because you can give whatever percentage you want to yourself, Warren, but somebody else may look at you, Warren, and say you're a number one. And they're going to say biology, and I'm looking at you, and I know by what I've seen in the modeling industry and the fashion industry and on TV my whole life, Warren, you're number one. Now, you're not going to agree that you're number one. Nobody is. But don't worry, we got lots of people who won't mind calling you that. And you're not going to like that, okay? See, this is social engineering at its finest. It's right in your face. You know, it is literally right in your face. And it's being used to do exactly what it's doing. And I'm not going to be the one to call Warren a number one. But I know lots of people, you know, that would not mind calling him number one. You know, your attractions you didn't have when you was born, Warren. There's not one person who had an attraction to another human being when they were born. Not even when they were 2 years old, not when they were 3, not when they were 4 or 5. Nope, they did not have attractions. Your attractions did not start until you got a little older and your hormones developed. By then, it was already shaped. By then, it was already shaped through everything that's been put in your face your whole life. So by the time you hit that age, the shape has already been formed for you. That is social engineering at its finest. That is not biology. Just telling you what I see. Just trying to get people to back up and start using this. And really think hard about it. Evolution would have gotten rid of it. Okay. Biology of purpose, where be, okay, no such thing as physical attraction. No. There would be such thing as physical attraction. There sure would be. When your hormones develop naturally without the things that you just said, if there was no social engineering, you still would have found yourself attracted to somebody. It's easy to shape your attractions. And it's easy to lie and say it was something it wasn't. It's easy to fool people. They've done this stuff deliberately to all of us. I understand what you're saying, Warren. If you grew up in a freaking society your whole life that said morbidly obese women were sexy, and that was all of your modeling industry and all of your fashion industry and all of everything from the day you was born, I guarantee you, when you hit puberty, you're going to find yourself attracted to that morbidly obese woman. Because everything was about the morbidly obese. To say that you wouldn't, you're fooling yourself. Like I said, it's been shaped. It's been engineered. I know people struggle so hard with this one. I understand what Warren's saying there, and Warren's correct about that part. Okay, but that's after the social engineering and the world he's grew up in. That's not from a world that socially engineered everybody in all your modeling industry, all your fashion industry for the last 50 years. If I took the modeling industry, the fashion industry, the cheerleaders, the everything that's been put in your face, I mean everything, And for 50 years straight, everything that was put in everybody's face was morbidly obese women. Children would start growing up, and as they hit puberty, they would be attracted to the morbidly obese. Now take that to the bank. Okay, you can take that to the bank. That's exactly what it'd be. And it wouldn't happen overnight. I'd have to have 50 years and have control over all forms of any advertisement, magazines, newspapers, televisions, everything you ever saw your whole life. Because there's not one person who can say I was born attracted to. Anybody that says I was born attracted to is nothing but a filthy liar. End of story. It was that easily done. This has been going on that long. That's why I said they shaped what we see and what we feel or what we're attracted to when puberty hits us. Then they threw the intertwine in there and gave you evolution, gave you natural selection, gave you the gene pool. They gave you everything that was going to cause more confusion and create more fighting, which is exactly what they wanted. Hey, it worked great. They got us all divided from every angle you can even think of. Then you wonder why you can't get people to stand together. That would be why you can't get people to stand together. It sure would be. But, whatever you do, know your place, right? Know your place. Make sure and know your place in society. And do not speak up. Do not whine or cry. Now I'm going to be honest about knowing your place. The first time somebody says you're trying to date outside your league, show them this. The first time somebody says they're superior to you, show them this. Don't hesitate a minute. Matter of fact, rip them an asshole. Because there's not one person on the face of this planet that's superior to anybody, that's above anybody, that's better than anybody. I don't care what your job title is. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much of the man-made tool you have. These categories is just like I said. The rich look down on the middle class that they're trying to do away with. The middle class look down on the me and the born and the us, the normals. Okay? People use everything as a competition. And people have a tendency of thinking that they always got to be above somebody else. And we've completely lost care. We've completely lost our way. And I don't care what anybody tells me. We have completely lost our way. The majority of all of us don't even know what the hell we're doing. And out of the awake people, I'm going to stick with what Mark Palestine said would be correct. A little tiny number. About that many people in the world that are truly awake. And that is sad. It's pathetic. But it's true. But with that, guys, I'm getting on out of here. But that's why I said, when I say know your place, don't whine and cry and just shut your mouth and take it. I want you to get mad as hell. And I remember this. No, don't shut your mouth. No, don't just take it. You don't have to, you shouldn't, and you should never. And with that being said, I'm getting on out of here. And now, Warren, if you want to call, you can call, because I'm ending this live feed.